This is going to be a quick little walkthrough and walk around of a 2012 Jeep Wrangler 4-door or JKU Sport. I've owned this since 2021. I bought it December of 21. It came from Texas. I think it spent a year in Massachusetts and then it landed with me. So the one thing that's very notable about this Jeep is that there is zero rust anywhere on this Jeep, which is pretty rare for any Jeep in New England. I'll go into the specifics. We'll look under the underbody and do all that kind of stuff as we go through the video. I bought this Jeep, like I said, December of 21. It had 130,750 miles on it. It currently sits at right around 137 for total mileage. So over the almost 5 years that I have owned this Jeep, we have put about 6,000 miles total on it, which is going to seem ridiculous when I kind of go through all the things that I've done. Obviously, multiple oil changes. Every single filter has been changed inside of this Jeep. All the brake fluid's been changed to .4. Changed out the parking brake, of course, adjusted it. All the wipers are brand new on this Jeep. I changed out the front diff fluid, the rear diff fluid. I changed out the transmission fluid twice, and I'll get to why in a minute. I've done the front calipers, the rear calipers. The tires are, well, brand-ish new. They have 5,000 miles on them or so. Those are Dix CPEC Trail Country EXP, kind of considered like an XT or an RT tire in between an AT and an MT. They're very quiet, they're very smooth, but you can still air these things down to about 15, 20 pounds if you want to and hit some rocks. Oil cooler / oil filter housing in pre-14 Jeeps, of course, which this is, was made of plastic. It was one of the Achilles heels of all 3.6 liter Stellantis products. That has been changed to a 2014 style all aluminum metal housing, so it will never leak again. At the same time that I did that, I changed all the spark plugs and I changed all of the coil packs. So the ignition system is pretty much new in this Jeep as well. Front pads, rear pads. Then we get to the front steering. I changed out the drag link, the tie rods, every tie rod really, the tie rod adjusting sleeves, the drag link. After that, I changed all the bolts. Stellantis, in their infinite wisdom, drilled out the holes inside of all of the front steering brackets, etc., in metric, but then used SAE bolts. So there was always just a slight bit of play, but when you added it all up, it made for really sloppy steering in these JKUs. It is no longer sloppy steering because I changed all those bolts. Changed the clutch out. So that was a big one here. This is a 6-speed manual Jeep. When I bought it, the clutch was fine, but we knew that we wanted to do some overlanding in this. So I changed this out to a center force stage 2 Kevlar clutch. At the same time, of course, changed out the transmission fluid, as we were dropping the transmission to do the clutch. All of the audio in this Jeep is different. So you have, I believe, MB Quart speakers throughout the entire Jeep with the exception of the subwoofer. There is an amplifier underneath the driver's seat. I changed that out to a marine amplifier so it can get wet. This Jeep used to have subs, I think, in it when it was in Texas. Those subs have been uninstalled, so you have a regular trunk here. But I did not uninstall any of the wiring, because why? The other anomaly from an electrical perspective is this had remote start. Again, it's a manual. I don't usually like remote starts in manuals. It doesn't work. I don't have the remotes, and I have not removed any wires because it's a remote start. And if you start playing with those wires, you have a chance of bricking your Jeep. So you'll notice a remote start kind of receiver inside of the Jeep. Stereo I mentioned already. We do have wireless Android Auto in this now. We have reverse camera in this now. Changed out the headlights, the parking lights, the blinkers, the tail lights. Added a trailer hitch, to make it look a little bit better. Changed the wiring in that to make sure that it worked properly. Stainless steel brake lines from Rough Country, all 4-inch extended brake lines. This came to me lifted. It was lifted with a 2-inch TerraFlex budget boost running Bilstein 5100 shocks. All that stuff's in really, really good shape. But I did some additional stuff before we started taking this thing out. Oil undercoated twice. So this has zero rust, and you'll notice the bottom is gummy because it's coated in wool wax twice. Changed out all the wheel sensors for the ABS. Battery's a brand new H6 AGM Platinum battery, Everstart, Walmart brand, and I have the receipt for that, 5-year warranty, blah, blah, blah. All right, that's it for just kind of talking about stuff. We're going to do a little walk around the Jeep itself and kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. So we'll start at the front end here. We can see that we've changed out the front bumpers to Quadratec's. So these are real frame-mounted Quadratec bumper. We have a Smitty-built XRC 9,000-pound winch. Very little hours on it. We've definitely used this thing, and it's phenomenal. This is a wired remote version with the option for a wireless remote, which I have never purchased. Then you've got a license plate kind of frame that moves so you can then access the winch line and the hook. So all that stuff's good to go. Again, I installed the winch, I think in 22 or 23, I can't recall. So we'll move around a little bit more, kind of get a look at the tire and wheel setup. Like I said, 33, 12, 5, 15 Dick's CPAC Trail Country EXPs. Those wheels, I forget the brand, but I think they look awesome. These are actual 15-inch wheels, which is pretty rare with all the, let's smack 18s or 20s on a Jeep. But if you want to wheel this thing or just look like you've owned a Jeep more than 6 months, 15s, more rubber, that's the way you would want to do it. Then you've got Chinesium rock rails. These are just Amazon brand, $200 a pair, I think. These do work. This one's actually been replaced because I used it as a rock rail, and it saved the Jeep's frame, that's for sure, but it was a sacrificial lamb, so I put a new one on. You do have TPMS, external TPMS on this Jeep. You can see the little guy on the valve stems. This does have regular internal TPMS, but Stellantis, once again, in their infinite wisdom, doesn't allow you to see the tire pressure. It just tells you if a tire is low. So this will allow you to see it, adjust it, set your own minimums and your own alarms and stuff, which is important when you're airing down. In the back, same deal, Quadratec, bumper, frame mounted, and then you've also got the reverse lights in there. I'll show you what the wiring looks like there in a second. You've got a hardtop, obviously. You've got a full-size spare. This is a Goodyear Wrangler Duratrack. This is what the Jeep came with. Probably the single loudest tires I have ever heard in my life. And just looking at them, they start cupping. But this one had a shitload of tread, so we kept it as the spare. Hardtop is included, of course. You also get a soft top with this. Kind of give a quick peek at the inside here. Custom leather interior. This is a sport, so this is all cloth underneath that pleather interior. It is vinyl. But it looks factory, quite honestly. And underneath, none of those seats are ripped, so the fabric itself is also in decent shape. If you'd rather have fabric, you can take them off. Saddlebags in the rear, that's where your winch controller and some other just, necessities are and things like that. There's the rear view camera mount. You can't see a ton, but you can see enough. I put it there intentionally. I didn't want it inside of the spare tire, so that's where it wound up. Also changed out the taillights. Just the stock reverse lights now are incredibly bright as a result of doing that. All right, let's move to the back seat, I suppose. Get a look at that. Get inside of there. So again, standard four-door Wrangler stuff. Like I said, the seats are using a custom vinyl. Then you've got all the WeatherTech-like Jeep branded floor mats. I also installed seat jackers in the back seat here, so the rear seat occupants can actually sit at less than a 90-degree angle and be a little bit more comfortable. All right, hit the front real quick. Oh, you got grab bars everywhere. Again, Amazon, but those are really good. They work out quite well. They're all metal, all aluminum. Front. So everything here is good. We'll do a more in-depth interior in a second, but again, 6-speed, the leather, the marine amplifier is under the seat here. You can kind of see what that looks like. Again, that's a 4-channel marine amplifier. It does have a subwoofer output as well, and there is a subwoofer in this Jeep. I did install one in the factory location, so it's just a standard 4-ohm single voice coil subwoofer that we put in. Up front, you've got a high lift jack mount right here toward the windshield, and then this is a shovel mount, neither of which are included. I'm keeping my high lift and I'm keeping my shovel. And then just for fun, you've got a bottle opener right next to the mirror, because why wouldn't you? All right, get to the engine real quick. Okay. I kind of zhuzhed it up a little bit, but you can see standard 3.6. Big warning, 2014 oil filters only. The oil filters are different. You do have 3 of them that are included with this, new oil filters. There's the new battery as well. All of the wiring for the accessories and stuff follows the OEM path that goes inside, basically an opening inside of the firewall that allows you to run all that stuff. This is the factory subline that is dormant. Not going to cause any problems, but like I said, I did not uninstall that original stereo stuff. Let's see. This Jeep was from Texas, like I said, so because they installed this hood vent up front, which I actually think looks pretty cool, I undercoated the hood as well, because this is a literal hood vent. This hood was cut to install that accessory. As a result, this Jeep doesn't overheat or anything like that. But because it was cut, I undercoated here and all around the rails of the Jeep itself, of the trunk area. New hood brackets, so they actually work and don't flop around. New headlights, these are all LED. These are the DRL rings as well. I did use JScan, so JScan is an application that you can connect from your ODB2 sensor into your phone, and you can change a lot of the settings of the Jeep. So now the DRLs are this ring, which lights up orange in this particular Jeep, which is kind of cool. You can change that though via JScan if you so choose. All right, I'm going to take this phone. We're going to jump into the interior. Oh, another notable thing, I suppose, all the door pins were changed to stainless steel, just kind of sliding door pins, so you don't need to unscrew anything or worry about any more, kind of corrosion or paint coming off on that. Okay, here's your grab handles up in the front. This is your TPMS sensor. Tough to see in this light, but that is a solar charging TPMS sensor. Again, you can set all your own highs and lows. If you want to run door free, I did do the little blind spot mirror mod. So if you run door free and don't feel like throwing mirrors back on, that's fine. Turn the ignition on, let you see the stereo. This is from A Toto. I think it's I forget the model name, honestly. I changed out the cigarette port into a dual USB port with a voltmeter. And then we made our own kind of bracket. This is a wireless charger. So you just smack your phone on there and go. Then you kind of have like your standard interior accessories, right? So you've got this little holder that now has a lid on it for sunglasses, glove box. You've got manual. You've got some of the tools, sun visor repair kits, which I just replaced today. These always corrode out, so these flop around, but I changed those today. You've got multiple USB ports to add your own music via a USB key, and then there's also the wireless Android Auto adapter inside of there. Like I said, this is a 6-speed manual Jeep. Of course, it's 4-wheel drive. It is a sport, so you will notice a lot of non-options, I guess, down here. So there's the stereo, there's Android Auto. That pops up, like I said, wirelessly. You do also have a USB port right on this also. I'll give you a look at what the reverse camera winds up looking like. So you have a view, right? You're not just completely blank from a reverse perspective. I turned the guy lines off because they were useless in this position. But again, you still get a pretty substantial view behind you. The stereo also kind of has like an off-road mode. So, I gotta take it out of reverse. So if you go home and then hit your options, and then you can hit RCam. So if you have this Jeep loaded to the hilt in the back and you can't see anything out of the rear view mirror, you can just drive with this on, which is kind of cool. So maybe you're towing, monitoring a trailer, I don't know, whatever. But you have the option to watch that while it's running. 137, 268 is the current mileage. This is a little wireless remote for the stereo. It's take it or leave it. It just comes off. So if you don't like it, take it off. You do have air conditioning in here, of course, and all that happy stuff. This is brand new. It failed in the original one. They often do fail, so this is new. You do have power windows in here, of course. This has the little kind of sun blocker thingamajiggy installed. That's pretty easy to uninstall if you so choose, but it did help a ton when there was no top on, just kind of keeping a little bit of shade on you. Microphone for the stereo is right up in here. I get pretty particular about what wires I can see, so everything's pretty tidy inside of this. You'll notice once again, I undercoated inside of the door jambs as well, which is kind of a rust prone area for these things. So all of this kind of overspray is completely intentional. Then you've got a throttle commander, a generic, again, Amazon version of a throttle commander. This did help a lot. These 3.6s / just their throttle response is known to be pretty paltry. So that's installed, and you've got a bunch of different settings and stuff if you want to change it, or I don't know, uninstall it if you feel like it. Cruise control works, all that kind of fun stuff. Steering wheel controls for the audio do not work with this new stereo, but who really cares? You're 4.5 inches away from the buttons. Glove box, all the standard stuff. You do have the, seatbelt chime turner offers for when you're, maybe off-road and you don't feel like wearing a seatbelt. What else? Little pockets in the doors instead of the ridiculous bungee things that just go flaccid like a 90-year-old. So we don't need to worry about those. You got all your speakers up here. Like I said, I think they're MB Quartz. The kid did high-end stereo stuff in this originally, but you saw the trunk already. That's there's no sub box or anything in the way. That's the weird little remote starter, and I need a new sticker for that to keep it up there. Like I said, I haven't screwed with this. I haven't touched the wiring. I recommend whoever buys this also does not touch the wiring because I don't want you to screw up the ignition. All right, we're in neutral right now. I'll start it up and kind of give you guys an idea what it sounds like. All right, we'll get out and kind of walk around it. Incredibly quiet. There's no leaks. There's no ridiculousness on this Jeep at all. This Jeep also will include a full soft top, a best top, soft top, so one of the better versions. A Smitty built soft top case. It's like this big bag that contains all of the soft top stuff. This will also have tube doors, so a full set of 4 tube doors, and the fronts already have mirrors installed on the tube doors. I'll throw in some pictures of that inside of the video so you can see it. What else do we have? Oh, another case for the Freedom panels. If you're unfamiliar with these Jeeps in general, these come off by themselves and you can leave the rear on. These are called the Freedom panels. So we have a case for those Freedom panels. So if you're in the middle of driving somewhere and you just want to take the Freedom panels off, you can do that and stick them in the trunk. The only kind of big flaw that I can see right now is these damn washers. So these obviously have rusted a little bit and have scaled with rust the body paint right here. These screws are for the additional mirrors that this also comes with. So if you want to run no doors whatsoever, you can still have legitimate mirrors. And we've used these a bunch of times, but I guess I should have used stainless washers. This will come off with some CLR. I just don't have any, and that's it. So you can see headlights, fog lights. Just pull the stock for the fog lights, pull them. Pull it. Yep, there's fogs. Everything's LED. All right, now we're gonna go for a drive. All right, going for a quick drive. I'm gonna take it right out of here and I'll kind of gun it a little bit so you can get an idea for how well this thing runs and how good the engine sounds. There we go. All right, here we go. Look, another Jeep. So there you go. That was 0 to 70. This thing runs great. I am a highly, highly meticulous human. This is my 14th Jeep. It comes up a lot in the videos and the questions and stuff. Why are you selling it? Well, we just don't use it. I've owned it for 5 years and I've put 6,000 miles on it. That's ridiculous. If we used it a lot more and actually went on more overlanding adventures, I'd certainly keep it. But that's just, I guess, not where my wife and I are at anymore. And we are looking for a boat. So that's really the only reason for selling it. There is nothing mechanically wrong with this. The outside of this is near mint. Yeah, it's got a bump here and a scrape there and a bruise there, but I did use this as an actual Jeep. But I tried to do modifications that were pretty standard, pretty tasteful, and didn't turn this into something that you didn't want to take on the highway. I'll drive this pretty much anywhere. From a highway perspective, it still goes 75, 80 with no problems at all. Again, doesn't overheat, still gets, the gas mileage that it should get at least for a Jeep. So about 18-ish combined, I'd say, is what I get out of this thing. But yeah, like I said, we're just de-Jeeping. So if I own it for a Jeep, it's available with this Jeep as a package. The other thing you'll probably notice, and certainly if you've gotten this far in the video, you're interested, this is going to be more expensive than pretty much any other 2012 Wrangler on Facebook right now. The reality of Jeeps on Facebook, if you've been looking for one, is that they're all typically whipped piles of crap that are built with nothing but Amazon parts and are showy and have the frickin' Angry Birds grill on them, which are some of the more obnoxious modifications that I've ever seen. We didn't want to do that. So we used pretty much all name brand parts with the exception of the rock rails, because I knew I was going to break those, and that was true. But other than that, this thing is mint. It is meticulously cared for. It has a brand new clutch. Every single fluid is new. Every steering component is new. And if you're looking for a Jeep that is literally turnkey, and I mean just buy the Jeep and go drive the Jeep, this is probably the only one in this price range on Facebook, especially too that has the completeness of options. You're not going to have to go out and start buying 100 million things like I did to try to build the Jeep that you want the way you wanted to build the Jeep. So yeah, it's going to come at a slight premium for a completely turnkey, ready to ride, ready to go Jeep. All right, logistics. This is located in Richmond, New Hampshire. Richmond is about 15 minutes or so from Keene, New Hampshire. I don't know, maybe an hour or so from Nashua, maybe closer to 90 minutes actually. So 90 minutes Nashua, Manchester, about an hour to Leominster, about 90-ish to Worcester, pretty close to Hartford and things like that. So a decent centralized location, I suppose you could say. I will meet you within some level of reason, but I'd prefer not to. What else was I going to say? Can't really think of much. That was a lot of stuff. So again, if you've made it this far through the video, I really appreciate it. Feel free to ask any questions you want. And if you have any, by all means, go ahead and shoot a DM out. But that's it. Again, Richmond, New Hampshire, 2012 Wrangler with a lot of stuff done to it, completely turnkey, ready to go. There'll be some additional pictures inside of this video of the tube doors, of the soft top, of those mirrors, of all the other parts that are included with it as well. But that's it. Thank you very much for watching.